Russia-Ukraine war is set to complete 500 days this week. After many twists and turns through these 15 months, the war between the two nations is still raging on, taking heavy toll on lives and livelihood of hundreds of thousands. Recently, Russia witnessed a mutiny from its private military company, which saw anguished soldiers marching on to Moscow itself. On the other hand, humanitarian efforts like the Ukraine grain deal have lost the spotlight and are arguably doomed to irrelevance. Meanwhile, talks for a ceasefire and peace remain elusive at best. Both Russia and Ukraine have exchanged accusations of planning an attack at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in southern Ukraine. Russia's State Atomic Energy Corporation has claimed that Ukraine was planning to attack the nuclear plant with drones and tactical missiles on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Ukraine has claimed that Russia had placed explosive devices at the nuclear facility. Both Moscow and Kiev confirmed that the Zaporizhzhia nuclear reactor was disconnected from its main external power transmission. Now, the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is one of Europe's biggest nuclear facilities and is currently under Russia's control. Russia has said it sees no reasons to allow Ukraine to export grain through the Black Sea after the deal expires on the 17th of July. While Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz urged for extension of the United Nations brokered deal. The deal that allows grain from Ukraine to reach the global market. Now, Russia says normalization of Russian supplies of food and fertilizers to world markets under the Russia-UN memorandum has continued to degrade. It has accused Ukraine of destroying a section of a pipeline used to export ammonia. Russian Foreign Ministry also said that most of the Ukrainian exports were going to wealthy countries. Now, this contradicts the data provided by the UN and Ukraine. The Russian Defense Ministry released a video showing Tu-95 long-range strategic bombers taking off and flying over the sea. As per a statement released by the ministry, two Tu-95Ms strategic missile carriers performed a 13-hour over the neutral waters of the Bering Sea. Now, this is near the western coast of Alaska. They also added that Su-30s and Su-35SM fighter jets escorted the bombers. Israeli forces began to withdraw late from the Palestinian city of Jenin. The move came after the forces carried out one of the biggest military operations in the West Bank in years. Now, according to Reuters, convoys of Israeli military vehicles were seen leaving Jenin in what appeared to signal an end to an Israeli operation that began early on Monday. Meanwhile, the Arab League held an emergency meeting to discuss the Israeli onslaught. During the meeting, the League expressed that the Palestinian issue has always been at the core of the Arab countries. The League also urged the international community to protect Palestinians from further Israeli aggression. Palestinian militants from the Gaza Strip fired rockets as Israeli army from the Palestinian city of Jenin. The two-day raid was one of the biggest military operations in the occupied West Bank in over 20 years. Israeli military says a barrel of rockets were fired from the Gaza Strip, which were intercepted by Israeli air defense systems. The Israeli forces added that its fighter jets hit Hamas underground weapon manufacturing facility in response. However, it is not yet clear whether Israel will further escalate the raid in the coming days. Israel has been witnessing an uproar against government's plans since the beginning of this year. This to change the way the judicial system works in the country. Despite citizens' outcry, lawmakers have given an initial nod to a bill that limits Supreme Court's power to rule against the government. In a stormy session, Parliament's Constitution Committee, which is dominated by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition party, they voted in favor of the bill that limits reasonableness as a standard of judicial review. The move comes right after Prime Minister announced that he would press on with contentious changes to the justice system. Pressure is growing on Japan against releasing the radioactive water from its tsunami-wrecked Fukushima plant into the ocean. This after China warned it against going ahead with such a move, asking it to evaluate the alternatives. Now, UN's nuclear watchdog has given Japan the green signal after a careful study. After a 2-year review, the International Atomic Energy Agency has said that Japan's plans were consistent with global safety standards and would have a negligible radiological impact to people and the environment. A disturbing video of police brutality has surfaced in South Africa, wherein a group of armed men, now confirmed as police officers attached to VIP protection unit for the deputy president of the country, are seen dragging and beating 3 unarmed civilians on the side of the road. The video has sparked off massive public outrage. A video footage showing some civilians getting mercilessly beaten up by armed men on a roadside has sparked public outcry. The video shows armed officers in plain clothes dragging a man out of a car and then stomping on his head until he lies motionless. This incident has drawn more attention to the country's problems with police brutality. The French government came under fire in Parliament over the killing of a 17-year-old by a policeman last week. The left questioned the accountability of the police and their use of firearms. They asked the French Prime Minister, Elisabeth Borne, to rescind a 2017 law about self-defense. Amid this, the government blamed the left for fueling the riots and insinuating all policemen were murderers. The national flag of Iran was raised at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization's Secretariat compound in Beijing. This as the country became the 9th member of the organization. Now, SCO Secretary General and Iranian ambassador to China participated in the ceremony, marking Iran's full admission to the SCO. The decision to start admitting Iran as a full member of the organization was announced at the 21st meeting of the SCO Council in 2021. Now, during the 22nd meeting of the Council of Heads of State of the SCO held in September 2022 in Samarkand, this is where the leaders of the SCO member states signed a memorandum of obligations on Iran's SCO membership. The Mexican Navy seized 2,400 kilos of cocaine in 3 speedboats during an anti-drug operation on the southern Guerrero Pacific coast. The drug seizure occurred after the Mexican Navy tracked one of the speedboats for over 7 hours. The Navy said the crew members fled after becoming aware of the operation against them. Now, aerial surveillance footage showed people getting off the boats and running towards the mainland. Mexican authorities are set to launch an investigation into the alleged narco boats which import and export drugs from the country. Chile's President Gabriel Boric, he's welcomed his Italian counterpart Sergio Mattarella. Welcomed to Santiago on Tuesday, the leaders signed memorandums of understanding on matters such as sustainability and diplomacy at their meeting. Both the nations aim to boost ties ahead of a key EU meeting in Brussels later this month. The Community of Latin American and Caribbean States is scheduled to hold talks with the European Union in Brussels to strengthen trade ties among the nations. India's service sector growth weakened in June, reaching a 3-month low. But it remained resilient due to strong demand. The S&P Global India Services Purchasing Managers Index (PMI) fell to 58.5 from 61.2 in May, but remained above the 50 mark that indicates growth. The sector, which contributes around 60% to India's overall output, has sustained growth for nearly 2 years, indicating that Asia's third largest economy is likely to outperform its major peers. Overall, the service sector's resilience and sustained growth point towards positive near-term growth prospects for India's economy. China's services sector has experienced slower growth in June. According to the Caixin China General Services Manufacturing Index, the index eased to 53.9 from 57.1 in May, but remained above the 50-point mark, indicating expansion. The survey also showed positive signs for export orders, employment, and market confidence, which rebounded for the first time in 5 months. Torrential rain has killed at least 15 people in the southwestern Chinese city of Chongqing. The downpour has unleashed devastating floods and deadly mudslides in recent weeks. Floods in the area have forced thousands to flee their homes. Bridges and buildings are inundated with floodwater. Chinese President Xi Jinping has ordered the authorities at all levels to ensure the safety of people and properties in the affected regions. The Finance and Emergency Management Ministries announced $441 million in emergency funds to aid disaster relief areas, including Chongqing. Uruguay is suffering its most severe drought in 44 years, following decades without investment in freshwater reservoirs. The reservoir behind Uruguay's largest dam, Paso Severino, is using less than 2% of its capacity. The Santa Lucia River, one of the most important waterways in the nation, supplied fresh water to more than 1.8 million people in the surrounding areas. Now, this is essentially to cope with the drought. Authorities began drawing water instead from nearby rivers, which has high salinity. President Louis Lacalle Pou has said that rain is the only near-term solution to the drought. He has also expressed that the water quality will likely worsen before it improves. Russian emergency services released a video tackling the forest fires in various areas of Russia's Far East. The region is exacerbated by intense heat and lightning storms. The authorities of the Far East have declared a state of emergency now. As per reports, more than 110 forest fires were raging across an area of 61,000 hectares. Netherlands is set to put a ban on mobile phones, tablets and smartwatches in classrooms from the 1st of January next year. Now, this move aims to limit digital distractions during school hours. Devices will be allowed only when they are deemed necessary, such as digital skills lessons for medical purposes or for people with disabilities. However, the Dutch government has not yet imposed a formal ban but has said that it will do so after measuring progress next year. A beachgoer captured a shark swimming off Navarre Beach in Florida's Panhandle. After spotting the telltale fin of the shark, the bathers headed for safety while some remained in the surf. A rash of US shark attacks have been reported this summer, including in the Northeast. At least 16 such non-fetal attacks were reported through early June in the US. Now, of these, 9 were reported from Florida alone. In the near future, though, WhatsApp may soon allow iPhone users to share high-quality videos. Recently, WhatsApp allowed photos to be shared in HD quality without compressing the size of the file. Reportedly, WhatsApp is now working on a feature to enable sending videos too in HD. The new feature will allow users to simply send high-quality videos. Notably, users will not be able to share the video in its original quality, but the content will definitely showcase improvement. What is better than the fact that drones can even help save lives? A drone that can fly into fires and help identify if there is anyone trapped in a wildfire or a building. The prototype is called Fire Drone. The Fire Drone flies into smoke and flames unharmed. It provides first-hand data from danger zones to first responders. In fact, it was inspired by the Grenfell Tower fire in London that killed 72 people in 2017.